So, you've probably heard me or some instructor talk about a hollow body or a Cody kick. And I'm sure there's been a lot of kind of like, yeah, I know what that is. My legs come in front of me. I make a hollow body. That's not actually the case. And a lot of times, people who are actually really in tune with their flying and in tune with their bodies and can kind of like do it without focusing on that hollow body sometimes don't even know what it is. So we're kind of going to break down the different ways of we're going to break down how to do a hollow body from scratch, okay? How to really get in control of that like contraction and the curl of your pelvis, okay? So, here we go. So, how we start today, you're, level 1, all right? I'm actually going to take off my shirt so that you can see how my body moves because that's actually really important for a lot of flying. All right, so level 1, you're going to sitting straight up with your feet in front of you and your hands on your knees. And you're going to notice how my back is flat here. I'm pressing my pelvis forward. This we'll call, I want you to find neutral on top of your sits bones, not arched, okay? Just find your neutral on your sit bones. We're going to go from neutral, and you're going to think about someone's poking like your lower core, like not your belly button, but let's go with like 4 inches below your belly button, and just take that space 4 inches below your belly button and curl it back and just like hunch backwards, only curling through the hips, trying not this. It's just the hips. And you're going to initiate backwards with your hips and initiate forwards with your hips. Initiate backwards and forwards. Start to feel that flow, okay? That's the start of it, all right? That backwards tip, forwards up. All right, so that's one exercise, okay? Then you're going to add some tension to it. So I want you to think you can kind of sit with your knees in like a little like butterfly position or whatever's comfortable for you. And I want you to think about starting to squeeze your butt and do a little lift. So do you see how I'm kind of doing a little bump and down, up and down? That's literally just me squeezing my butt cheeks. So you can also do it in a sitting position. You can squeeze and down, squeeze and down. And I want you to try to do that little bounce, okay? Squeeze and down. You can do it sitting in a chair as well. So give that a shot. Start to find that. Then once you are comfortable there, finding that motion, the reason why I have my knees bent out to the sides is because straight legs, I have a lot of trouble actually getting my pelvis in line without arching. So I just kind of bend them so I can sit right on my sits bones. And then I engage through there, engage my butt, and I do that little lift. And then I think about that muscle down here, 4 inches below my belly button, and it sucks me back. And I find this hollow shape, and I hold it, and I feel it burning in my core. And I'll hold that for 10 counts. And then I will actively think about pressing through my sits bones and sitting back up. Then squeeze, tuck, in, and curl back. In dance, this is called a contraction, okay? A lot of dancers do it in like modern dance, so you'll see them doing like this sort of thing, including their whole body. That's totally cool and awesome. And then they sit back up and they point everything. Contraction and release. We're not really focusing on the dancey part of it. We're using their skills and their technique to help us to access our hollow body and that like contraction and that curling of the lower spine, okay? Because that's a big thing. When we're trying to curl the lower spine and hollow out here, we have muscles in the front, your rectus abdominis. You also have muscles in the back, and they're all stabilizers, yeah? Every muscle in our body has an antagonistic muscle, okay? So your biceps antagonistic muscle is your triceps, okay? If you didn't have the antagonistic muscle, you wouldn't have any control. So when I'm flexing my bicep, muscles only know on and off, okay? So when I say on for my bicep, if I didn't have a tricep, it would just go every time. Like I'd have no control, okay? But my tricep counters my bicep flex, okay? The same thing occurs in your core and spine, okay, and the muscles around your spine. These muscles back here are a lot harder to access than like your tricep, than your core, because they stabilize your spine and your spinal cord, and that's super important for us as humans, because if we didn't have those stabilizing muscles, we'd die. So it's completely normal to not really have a lot of access to these muscles, because we don't, as humans, we don't need access to those muscles. They're just there to hold us up and make sure we don't fall over, you know? But in flying, we do want access to those muscles, because if they're clenching too hard and being too antagonistic to our core as we're trying to hollow and curl our spine, then we won't be able to. And we definitely won't be able to do it in a snapping motion like that, okay? And that's what your hollow is. That's what your Cody kick is. You know, it's that like whoop, snap motion. But if you can't release these muscles, then it's always going to be so slow and feel like you can't really access that. I had that problem, and I really had to go through and think about relaxing my back. So, that tangent, back into this thing. When you're doing this, I want you to really focus on the action. So the impetus is going to be the core, so starting by the sitting up and then the core sucking back. But I want you to really start to focus on relaxing and relaxing these back muscles. You probably won't feel it, but I want you to think about letting them extend. Let those back muscles extend as you engage your core, okay? So that's maybe something you start to think about is like, okay, I go here, I sit back, and I pull, 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 and there's a lot of tension happening. It's like a little whirlpool inside of my core, and then I sit back up. Now, speed it, start to speed that up. Start to think, squeeze, curl up, squeeze, curl up, and then just all at once. And just keep going, trying to find that motion, okay? If you are having trouble accessing your lower core, which is totally sometimes can be a really hard place to access, I want you to stand up. I want you to put your hands on your knees like this, like you've just finished a long run and you are exhausted. I want you to suck in your lower abs. So I want you to go, okay, like that. And then I want you to stand up. Those are the muscles. These ones right here that you feel, engage, those are the muscles you want to work on, okay? So if you ever have trouble accessing them, just bend over, suck in, stand up. And there they are. They're engaged, they're tight. That's your pelvic floor. There's your lower abdominal muscles. That's what you want to work on for that motion. So now that we're standing, we're going to try doing some standing contractions. So I want you to think about bend over, suck in, stand up. All right. And now I'm just standing neutral. My spine is neutral. I'm not tucking my butt under. I'm just standing very neutral. Now I want you to think about tucking your spine under, curling everything, and standing up. Tucking and curling everything, and standing up. Everything, and up. There is a slight squeeze of the butt that happens. That's awesome. Okay? So, those are the exercises I want you to start working on to access your hollow shape. And then once you get comfortable there, once you start to find that, you're going to lay on the ground in this shape, and you're going to think about slowly hollowing and lifting your legs off the ground and down. Hollow, and then bring your chest and down. Now notice, I'm not just lifting my legs. I'm not doing this, okay? If I were to keep my hands on my hips, my hands don't bend. I'm just moving from my pelvis, okay? Then, once that feels comfortable, I want you to start snapping it. Snap. And down. Snap. And down. Now this isn't just coming up and coming down. I'm really targeting this core going into the ground and down. And my core pulling up my legs. If I were to grab, like, honestly, like your underwear and your pants here and just pull, that's the feeling. Pull. Okay? So practice that. And then I'll bring some more things in for you later, okay? So start practicing those things. This has been a pretty long one, but I want you to really start to try to access those muscles, okay? next video I'm going to give you will be more, less of a muscular access and more of a mobility access, okay? So we'll talk later.